be too long, and reading a book is much more difficult than reading a paper because it's longer, much longer sometimes than a paper. A paper is normally 5, 10, 15, or at most 20 pages, but a book is at least 100 pages. So the amount of time that you have to spend reading the book is much more than reading a paper. Rather than skimming the book, one should concentrate on large chunks of quite dense text and make sense of them. Sometimes it is okay if you skim some sections of the book, but you cannot do it always. You have to concentrate on long chunks of quite dense text. You have to read many pages in order to get what does he mean and what kinds of theories he has proposed, and how they can be related to your study, or how you can use them in your study. So it is completely different. A book is completely different from a paper because you have to concentrate on long text and passages. The second one was becoming familiar with methodological aspects. While you're reading an article, you get familiar with the method design of that paper. The point is gaining ideas about the design of your study. While you are reading that material or that source, you will gain ideas about the design of your study. How would be your design? How you are going to set the design of your study. Is it suitable to take the design of this paper and use it in my own paper? Learning how to operationalize the research problem. Actually, the research problem, which is something that you have claimed, that this gap exists, should be operationalized. How you're going to do that. This operationalization actually can be seen in the research design that you set for your study, how you're going to actually do it, how you're going to deal with that problem or gap. This should be presented in your research design, or can be taken from your research design. What instruments to use, how to collect and analyze the data, and so on. After arranging or setting the design of your study based on the methodological aspects of the papers you have read, then you have to, after talking about the design of your study, as I have said already, you have to state the participants of the study, the instruments that you're going to use, the procedure of the study, and the data analysis, and so forth, so on and so forth, right? So these are the points that should be included in the third chapter of your proposal, methodology. By reading the methodology section of the other papers, you will get good ideas, how to plan your study, how to write, what kind of instruments you're going to use in your study, how do you want to collect. How to collect the data is something which is called the procedure of the study, as I've already said. So how to collect the data should be shown in the procedure of your study. That is called procedure of data collection. And how you're going to analyze the data in the future, of course, because just now you're writing your proposal and there's no data. You have not collected any data. So, but you have to write how those future data, would be analyzed. What kinds of softwares, for example, you're going to use. All right? And these points should be stated there. Okay, and the third part of your this section is summarizing and making notes for literature review. In order not to face with a pile of unorganized books, articles, and other materials, This step is very crucial. I already told you that you have to summarize the notes or the papers you have taken, but you have to organize them in particular way, whether in traditional forms, dealing with the actual hard copies of the papers and books, or in electronic forms, compiling and organizing the different papers and the PDF forms or the PDF files of the books. Making notes of what you have read for the sake of literature review. You have to have a notebook, in traditional form, and if in electronic form, a particular file in which you make notes of the papers you are reading and classify them into different sections. These 50 papers, for example, are talking about these issues. Those 10 papers, are dealing with these points. The theoretical points of these papers are on this issue. These papers' design and methodology are like this. So you have to classify them as carefully as possible and make complete notes. Reviewing other studies done in the same field and around the same topic, both in the research proposal and the final thesis. So the other studies should be reviewed, should be read carefully in the same field and around the same topic. Exactly, you can read the papers which are exactly related to your field or around the same topic, the topics which are similar to yours. In the research proposal and the final thesis, these should be stated. The fourth section is identifying important findings to be used in discussion sections. Not an immediate use in preparing a proposal, but it is wise to be done for the further use while it is available. Important findings that has been stated in the articles you have read should be kept somewhere in order to include it in your discussion section. I told you that this is not related to your proposal, but this is related to your thesis. When you have done it and you want to discuss, your results, you can make benefit of these papers that you have studied in that section, the discussion section of your thesis, which exists in chapter 5. And one way of discussing your finding is to discuss them in the light of other people's findings. This is very important. I told you before that you have to discuss and not just say that this is this and this is the interpretation of what I found, but you have to strengthen your discussion with referring to the other people's findings, saying that I've done this study in 2020, but Jackson, for example, who has done the same study on this issue in 2019 or 2018, has said that have obtained the same findings, or no, it is completely different, or this part is similar. So you can strengthen your study by this issue, identifying important findings in order to be used in your discussion. Now, let's get to drafting a proposal and talk about how to draft your proposal, how to start the first draft of your proposal. So up to now we have talked about different issues. We have said that you have to after finding a particular problem and writing a specific title for that topic and then you can write the theoretical background of your study and go to the design section or method section and write the methodology of your study and your research questions. So you have to, we can call it the first drafts of your proposal. Having covered the review of the related literature section in the previous chapter, the way of drafting a thesis proposal is discussed here. Basically, this drafting is very important while you're reviewing you're writing the literature review of your proposal, because in literature review normally about 90% of what you're writing is not yours. It's something which has been discovered, which has been stated, by the other scholars, by the other researchers, and you're just gathering those data and trying to report them as accurately and as academically as possible. We attempt to organize our ideas and present them in different sections of the proposal. Okay, so we want to organize our ideas and present them in different sections of the proposal, and also how to organize the other people's ideas which are related to our topic in the literature review section. These jobs actually form drafting our proposal. Any piece of written language has its own organization. It should have an organization. You should know what comes first, what comes next, what comes after that. At the draft level, the writer will begin the task of conveying ideas to an audience and will move away from a personal and private record of exploration towards a form of writing that makes meaning for an audience. So, at the draft level, the writer will do what? Will begin the task of conveying ideas to an audience. How do you want to convey what you're writing? How do you want to convey your idea to the audience? This is basically related to the courses you have passed in writing, in article writing, in advanced writings that you have passed in the other levels. Words are symbols through which we internalize and shape the process of thought. Like you should be a good writer, right? Because you are going to use particular words, especially particular verbs. So they have to be academic, as precise as possible, and convey the message you are going to convey, right? So this is very important. Drafting, simplicity, clarity, and parsimony are the characteristics of a good writing that reflect adequate thinking about the research problem. What you're writing should be as simple as possible. Of course, not to include very simple sentences, but it should be simple, not very complex, clear what you want to say, and parsimony, containing of specific sections which are understandable and comprehensible. So these are the characteristics of good writing that reflect adequate thinking about the research problem. What's the most immediate proposal function? To inform the readers quickly and accurately. So the most immediate proposal function is what? To inform the readers quickly and accurately. And finally, composing the draft. Unity is the main key to persuade the readers that you understand the problem. Creating unity takes not only combining parts to form a coherent whole, but also showing clearly and distinctly the relation between parts. Sometimes I see some, proposals, some students' writings, which consist of grammatical sentences, but those sentences are not related to each other. Or if, they're somehow related, the students have not been able to use cohesive devices accurately between the sentences in order to make a unified, passage. So this is very important. Keep it in your mind and try to solve the problems if you have got any problem in writing unified passages. Unity, which relates to coherence of your writing, must be achieved on several levels. macro level, different sections of the proposal, different paragraphs, different pages, and micro level, sentences and paragraphs. When